So when you have a pregnant woman in class, during the first trimester, anything goes. They can crunch, they can twist, they can do whatever to their ability. During the second and third trimester, I like to be very conservative. Nothing at the back, always use the pole, but always modify. So if a lunge is usually on 1 gray spring, I would make it 2 gray springs to help them. For pregnant women, 3 gray springs max. Because the more springs, the less slippery the carriage is, and they're gonna feel more stable. If the pregnant woman gets dizzy or doesn't feel really well, any lunge on the top, whether it's platform lunge or carriage lunge, they would do it on the floor in a floor lunge with the knees down, the shins down, and the feet down. When pregnant, they have to share their body with the baby. So their blood vessels will dilate or open more, so they get hot really easily. They have to share more oxygen, so they get winded, they get tired very easily. And their balance is off because they have the baby right here in the front. They tend to have a lot of back pain, because if you think about a baby sticking out like this, it pulls the baby forward and then the lower back goes like this. So it's anterior pelvic tilt. I would just modify everything. During the second and third trimester, no crunching, no twisting. The only thing that you can do for twisting is the torso twist. But I always tell them, listen to your body. If you start to turn and it feels uncomfortable, stop. Don't try to go any more.
What are the exercises I can make them do?
Light leg exercises.
You don't do any abdominals?
No crunching, but you can do all the core stuff. They can do the plank to pike. I've had women up to the eighth month and they can still plank to pike. Modification, feet wide apart, more springs to help them. And remember we had that conversation about when you're heavier, you can take more springs. Even if the book says like 2 gray springs, you can give them more and see how they feel. A modified plank to pike is on the knees doing this, but I feel like you shouldn't do that because it's kind of still crunching. For panther, this might be very hard for them. So I would stick to more upper body. I would do squats, standing inner thigh. That's okay, but if you want to be very safe, then kneeling inner thigh. Basically, anything standing is typically scary because they might get tired and fall. I've taught a lot of pregnant women, and I feel that no one gets pregnant and goes, I'm gonna go take Pilates. They usually have already been taking it, and then they start doing it. If you were a client and that was pregnant, I would say, what trimester are you in? You'd say, let's say second trimester. No crunching, no twisting. When we all go to the back, if you have a pregnant person in a regular class, you stay in the front. And then if you have a crunch in your series, you'll say today, instead of doing a crunch, you're gonna do a bird dog. Kneel on the carriage, the whole carriage, like the floor. You're gonna lift up one arm, lift up one leg, and you just go down, up. This is gonna help them a lot. If they wanna make it harder, they can go out and in. Inner thigh work, squats will help them a lot. Upper body, you can always say, if you can't do something, 2 gray springs, sit at the back, hold these cables, and then you can do serve the platter. You can do shoulder press, and then you can do bicep curl. Some women just stay on the floor and squat like this, but because it's tight here, they would just go in the front and just squat.
Heavy outer thighs?
You can do that.
That's fine.
2 black and 1 gray.
That's good, 2 black, 1 gray.
Remember that they're gonna be heavier, so they might be able to take on more.
I think we could potentially do the quad kick.
Don't keep them on their hands and knees too long. 2 minutes max, because what's happening is when they're in this position too long, it's pulling everything. You can do the side laying one for a little bit. Blue is 88, so I would just say 2 blacks and a gray for all heavy stuff. What I do is when I have one pregnant person in class, I'll go over and ask her every now and then, like, are you doing okay? Do you want more springs? The spring load just needs to be different. So when you're on light springs, more springs will be supportive. When you're on heavy springs, less springs so that they're not like pushing out. Nothing at the back.